Look, the preseason has been difficult because of the time frame. It's been very short. And plus there was the FIFA break last week. So quite a few players were away. But yeah, slowly, as I say, slowly settling in and trying to just work with the players. Some of the players I know, most of them I know. Obviously, some of them I don't know. So trying to get a feel of, where they are, and then obviously try and setting up a team for Sunday. So yeah, it's been good, been well received. But as I say, it's our first challenge will be on Sunday, and we're looking forward to the game.
All right, and just maybe let's just go to the floor. I'll take the first question. It's from Vuyo. Vuyo Matoba, you can go ahead.
Coach, good morning. Vuyo from Power 987. Coach, you coming to a team with the history when it comes to just titles having been going their way. I just want to get from your sense during this, this period that you've been with the players and the team and the management. Have you had the conversations or just how the history has been in terms of the trophies? Does it put any pressure on you, especially the fact that you are great as well when it comes to trophies in your history? Has that been much talk about, trophies, making sure that you bring in trophies, or just, build up a team for now?
Look, I mean, anybody knows the history of the football club, I do. I know certainly in my playing days and then coaching days, and I know the history of the club. Obviously, the power has shifted a little bit, up north, and the club has been very successful there. So we've got to try and get ourselves back into that frame and back into the mix. As you can see, the competition is getting tougher and tougher. Certainly there's a lot more teams challenging now for titles and for trophies, and we certainly need to get back there, and it's going to take a lot of hard work and try and get the team was so close last season to winning the league. 20 or 30 minutes away, and so we're going to obviously try and get ourselves in a similar position again, and see where we end up.
Okay, let's go to Mark Stradom.
Hi, Coach. Thanks a lot. Congrats on the appointment. Haven't been able to speak to you. Obviously, I think a big part of Chiefs, they finished second last season, but there's certainly a few kind of aging players. There's certainly, you'll want to form the squad in your own image. As I understand it, I think the transfer window closes in 2 days, in October 17, unless that's changed. Just how close are you to finalizing the squad that you want? How much does Saturday's match actually play any role in that? Thanks. And maybe just a second question. Apparently you've been extremely impressed with the facilities there at Nature, really world-class, the village. Some of the guys at Chiefs backroom people told us you would whistle wherever you went. Can you just tell us about how it's been your introduction to the village? Thanks.
I think I've said it already, Mark. Well received. Obviously, everything's in place to be successful. We all know the situation, signing of players and those type of things. But we've got a squad that did very, very well last year. Very unfortunate. So we'll try and work with that, and hopefully the ruling will be made sooner rather than later. So there's not much really I can say about the whole thing. The players have been very committed to training. But as I said, the proof will be on Sunday, and see. I've only been here 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, and we have had a week missing because the players have gone missing. So, but no excuses. I know, the good thing is that I know the league, I know the players, I know what we're facing, and what they've got in the squad. So I have to work around that. And there's quite a few good young players here that certainly will get their chance. Certainly they will do. But the statement I think you made earlier, I always say if you're good enough and you can still do the job, it doesn't matter what your age is. But we have to balance the two because of the situation at the football club. But I'm very confident in some of the players we've got. As I think you mentioned, old players. But yeah, they've done well. They worked hard, and I'm sure they've got a lot to prove as well. going forward.
Okay, next up, Mazola Mlife.
Hi, coach. Just on the injury update, and secondly, just on this FIFA ban. I mean, in your 100 years of coaching, is this the first time you come into a team and you can't bring in any new faces?
Don't worry.
What?
Where I've worked, I've been banned without the ban.
Coming in without having to sign players. What's that like?
Well, it's, as I said, I mean, they had a very good squad of players, but obviously a lot of those players have been injured. So the top goal scorer, Samir, has been injured. He won't play. He's had an operation, so he hasn't even trained one day, and I think he'll be out for some time. Castro obviously also was injured before the end of the season. He only hasn't trained much through the major injuries. Yeah, it's pretty much those two. We were, they were the cornerstone of the team last year. We did very, very well. So that is a problem going forward. But we'll have to realign ourselves, reshape ourselves a little bit to try and play to the strengths of the players that we've got. I think that's important. And I'll try and do that. And I said again, there's 4 good, well, there's 6 or 7, but certainly the 4 certainly coming to the reckoning, and the other ones also a little bit injured from the young players as well. So we got to just take it day by day. And the ban, as I say, we all know. I mean, it's well documented. I knew that coming here. But yeah, we'll go forward, and I've got belief in what we got, and let's try and play a way that suits the players that we've got.
Okay, Karabo.
Thank you very much for good morning, coach, and congratulations on the job. Coach, I just wanted to find out from your side, obviously when you arrived at the club, I'm sure the heads were down. I mean, some of them should be doubting their talents as footballers because of what happened in the last 20, 30 minutes of the last game. Is there anything that you've done? Have you spoken to them? Have you tried to motivate them rather, that is mentally, because I mean, football is all about the confidence, and if you don't have that, you really cannot play. So have you worked on the psyche of the players too much, more than the talents of the guys that out at Naturena, coach?
I mean, the obvious question would say, yes, I have. No, I haven't. I think I've worked on what we're going to try and do on the football pitch, and try and, in the sessions, we try and make them play, as I said, in an unconscious way, but in a conscious state. Underneath that, I'm starting to sound like my friend Steve now. But that's what I've tried to do, and try to get that back into the way we play. But in saying that, I mean, you could certainly, any football player that's been in that situation, I've won leagues in the last minute, and also lost a league in the last minute. So I understand, but we got to look at that, we put that behind us, and just try and move forward. Sunday obviously is a different competition, so it's a knockout competition. But when the league starts, one step at a time, 1 foot forward, and we'll just try and do that. But as I said, I haven't really. Yes, we've spoken about it, but not really where it's been the core, the meeting or anything like that. No, nothing like that. I think it's sometimes best left alone. And let's get on the training ground. It's the best way as any football player to go on the training ground and just get them playing again and enjoying it again.
Then Velile.
Good morning, coach. Congratulations and welcome to your new club. Just looking at the issue of this transfer ban, I know it's something that is out of your control now, and I think the window is closing. If SAFA is updated at the end of November.
It's November, yeah. It's not the
yes.
end of, yeah, it's November, yeah.
Yes. So in terms of the approach now, because you can't just sit and idling and do nothing. So do you identify your targets and try and do something with the hope that something will happen before November? And what becomes the approach when you have possibly a lucrative offer for one of your current players, but the tricky thing is that you're not sure now you can replace it?
I think Veli is very difficult to try and sign players and promise them that the ban will be uplifted. So that's very difficult from that perspective. I think that the other thing, if you look at the flip side of it, I think it's important. A lot of the players that were here last year they've got a lot. They can prove again that they can do it, and it's a great opportunity, because as you know, it's exactly the same squad. There's nobody in new, or people have gone out. So that's important. I think the players must realize there's a big opportunity to prove again that they can do it, and if they want to do it. On signing of players, it's out of my control. It's administration level. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. But yeah, I mean, I can identify 20 players, but they can't come in. And obviously, the market, as you can see on a daily basis, players are going to clubs because they can't sit around hoping that Kaizer Chiefs will sign them.
All right, Karabo, you want to have a follow-up?
Yes. Thank you, Fatu. Coach, I listened very attentively to the chairman of the club, in that case, Amadaung, a couple of weeks ago when I unveiled you, and he said he wanted you on a couple of occasions. Can you just give us a brief as to, how many times has he tried to sign you, and why would you say no to such a massive club if there were a conversation in the past? Because it really was interesting on my side.
No, the only time I've spoken to Mr. Matong was in passing. It was never any approach. So I don't know where that comes from. It's all media speculation. So no, there's nothing from there. Wherever I've been. But obviously, in football, I always say things are timing. I mean, timing was, this happened, and the timing, and I mean, if ever I wanted to be at a football club from when back in the 80s was a club of this magnitude and this size. So it's happened. And the timing, and hopefully we can make it work and try and be competitive again, and try and win a few trophies. That's for sure.
Mark Strado.
Yeah, Gavin, just looking at what you've got there. I don't know if it's a bit awkward since they finished second last season, taking over, and then. But I'm sure you've got some ideas on what you're going to change. I mean, just looking at it, what are you going to change? What are you happy with? What are you seeing that looks good in that squad? And what have you identified as your strengths?
Well, I mean, I think the bubble affected everybody, not only Kaizer Chiefs. And I think it's very difficult to judge teams on what happened at the end of the season. But I mean, if you look at the start of the season before they went in, they did very, very well. They were well clear. But I mean, it was a little bit abnormal, the situation that we all went into. I mean, some clubs did better, The club I was with previously, did well. Obviously, Chiefs suffered. So it's very difficult to make a judgment. But I think the players that they've got here, there's a lot of the quality, and it was proved. It was so close last year. So what I got to try and do is, I think the most important thing is, yes, we need a continuation of being competitive like they were, but we also need, in my opinion, just also try and get away. That only comes with personnel. So personnel is important to try and do sometimes a little bit different in instances. So right now, we've got to try and get the players to go again, and that's football. So right now, there's not much more I can say than to try and go again and try and be competitive and try and take one step forward at a time.
All right, Velile Mnyandu again.
Coach, just going back to Karabo's question about joining the club. I know you always say that even previously it was always going to be about timing. But looking at this one, what would have been this deal breaker for you not to think twice about signing? Because we understand that it was not only Chiefs in the queue for your services, and also on Maritzburg, I see they are making also a couple of changes. Maybe they might go to this game without their number one goalkeeper as well. Depending on the developments this week. What are you expecting from them? Also, I mean, I was at the Bafana camp and I could see how some players are struggling for fitness levels, and I think this is something that is going to dominate this weekend.
Look, just go back to your second question first. I don't see them being any different. Maritzburg. I think they'll be competitive. They had a good season last year, I think, until they got to the bubble. But I think they'll be competitive, well organized, you know. I mean, they really did well from being a relegation team the year before. I think Eric, fantastic to get them organized. Got a few clever signings in there. So, yeah, I don't expect anything different. They've done very well against Kaizer Chiefs. I think they beat them, I think, last year at home here. I'm not sure the away game. It might have been a draw, I think. I can't remember. So, yeah, they've done very well against Kaizer Chiefs the last couple of seasons. So, we know what to expect. Well, I know what to expect. Hopefully the players, I can get them into a situation where they understand, and I'm sure they do. And it's a great opportunity. We've got nothing to fear. You know, it'll be there in front of us. That's important. Yeah.
There was the first question about what would have been the deal breaker for you, because the Chiefs were not the only. Yeah.
As I said, really, it's timing. I think it's a great opportunity. It's a fantastic football club. But what we need to do is we need to get on the field. We need to get it. You know, we need to get going. We need to get it right. I mean, they've always been a competitive club and a competitive team. But we need to get that right. It's going to take a lot of work. I think, as I said, the club, fantastic, the surroundings, everything around the club. But the most important thing is the on pitch. You need to get that right. And I think it's a great opportunity. It's, you know, and let's see how we go.
Okay, we'll go to the last two questions, starting with Mazola.
Coach, obviously, speaking on of the same squad that's still there from the previous season, one player in particular, Kama Billiard, obviously, you know, we know what he can do at his best, but only 2 goals last season. You know, what sort of expectations do you have for him?
Well, I've got huge expectations. I know him from when he came from Zimbabwe to Ajax. I mean, you know, yes, he's older, but he should be a little bit more experienced now, a little bit wiser. I think the most important thing I got to do, or we got to do as a staff, is try and get him playing to his strengths a little bit more, where we can get the best out of him. And that's all I'm going to try and do. You know, and whatever he needs, the support, the extra work, if he's willing. I think he is willing. I think he's got huge potential still. I still see him as a young boy when he came from Zimbabwe. He's a little bit older now, but we got to get him playing to his strengths, and that's mean in the right areas of the field. You know, I don't want to know what's gone on here before. It's got nothing to do with me. I got to just see what I see in front of me, and hopefully, you know, we can get him. He's certainly a double figures goal scorer, I think, in the league, and that's got to be the first aim. If he does his part, the rest we can do our part, and then hopefully we can be successful.
All right, the last question, Max Stradom again.
Gavin, yeah, I wanted to ask you about Pizzo's departure from the PSL, which is, look, I don't think any coach has dominated the league, and he's had his battles with Stuart Baxter and battles with Micho and battles with you, and last year with Middendorp. But he's certainly been the one common denominator, and he's changed the landscape of the PSL in many ways. I know he had the checkbook by winning a Champions League and what he did with Sundowns and winning so many trophies. What does it do now that he's gone to the PSL? And do you think Sundowns will continue from where they left off? And since I'm the last one, I'll just ask a second part. Just your assistants. It seems a really good technical team. I know, Dylan, you were bringing him to the coaching structures at Wits. Arthur's, he knows Chiefs and he's been there, and he's been part of the youth structures. It seems a good technical team. If you can just thanks.
Oh, Mark, that's quite a big one. Where do I start? Oh, yeah. Listen, I think certainly from my perspective, yes, we've had some great battles in terms of football battles. It's been fantastic. I think the league is weaker now because you're losing the fantastic expertise, you know, and a fantastic coach who's done an unbelievable job. So the league is certainly for me weaker. Doesn't mean that Sundowns are weaker. They certainly strengthened up their technical department. They've got guys who know, and they've obviously, the most important thing, they've got the squad of players that can play all different formats, different ways, different competitions. So it's a fantastic club. Kaizer Chiefs, as I said, have been knocked off a little bit. We need to get back, certainly up there and challenging on, and trying to be as competitive as them. And I think we can. That might take, obviously, a little bit of adjusting and time. They were so close last year. You can't say they gave it away. It certainly was a real fight to the end. But yeah, certainly the league is weaker, and it's certainly not better off by him leaving. That's for sure. He's gone to a great opportunity, and I wished him well, sent him a message. So great challenge, and a club like our side, like Kaizer Chiefs, we got to be competing on those fronts. Certainly, I played against Al Ahly many times with a far inferior squad than they had, and we did very, very well. And I think a club like our size, with our support base and obviously personnel, I think we can do well there. So hopefully we'll get in and do well on that front as well. So yeah, let's see. On our side, obviously with our situation, there was a lot of backwards and forwards with staff and before I came, but Arthur, who's been here, I know him very, very well, and he's been a great help so far, and I'm sure we can go forward together. And Sheppy's, obviously I started Sheppy's career at 17 and he finished with me at 38, so as a coach. So just shows you how long he's been with me. And now he's, his future as a coach is, I think he'll do very, very well. And, he's enthusiastic, and that's important. He works well with the youth, and the whole idea was obviously the youth and the Diski team as well to try and get it, a little bit on par so we can get players into the first team. Because as you know, in this market now, we need to start producing our own players. And that's what we've got to try and do. That's a long-term vision, but hopefully, we can bear fruit with a lot of these younger ones coming in and reviving and getting us on the front foot again.